This is the Awkward Mind Podcast. I am Yuri Nair. My guest today is Raphael Weinstock. Born in Israel, Raphael explores reality mainly as an artist. He has been living and working in Europe for the past 27 years. He is an actor, musical singer, musician, singer-songwriter, painter, poet, healing practitioner, and an educated rescue dog trainer. Raphael is a multisexual human being in pursuit of unconditional love in himself and others. He is on a constant search for a connection with his tribe. To further that connection and to talk about spiritual awakening, art, love, music, sexuality, poetry, consciousness, and so much more, here's the man himself, Mr. Raphael Weinstock. Raphael, welcome to the Awkward Mind Podcast.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you for being here. So why don't we jump right in? Because I know you had plans before this whole pandemic to be traveling this entire year and performing in many stages. And of course,
Exactly.
all of that got thrown out the window, but you found a way to still connect a little bit with your acting community, and you started AA meetings, the Actors Anonymous meetings, as I understand them. So are those still going on, and what made you decide to do that?
We're in summer break now. The beauty in this is that I find connection with people that love theater. They are not normal actors, if you call it like this, because they did not start their careers as actors. They all come from all sorts of places, and the beauty is the love for theater. It doesn't matter if it's, you can talk about technique, you can talk about a lot of things, but the love for theater, to be able to, because what happens after like 30 years on stage, I got more than 30 years on stage, so some of the people, some of my colleagues, I see them become jaded, that they become business people in their own business. It's called a show business, but actually it needs to be a show love, because it's because of we love to stand on stage and people love to see people on stage that we do this. We didn't invent this. It's a very, very old way of communicating, either tribal or, state-wise. We talked about technology before we opened. Technology reminds us how human we are, actually. You can take it to a point of saying everything that you envy, that you wish you would have had, reminds you in a positive way what you are. Because everything that you see on the outside resonates something on the inside. And if you see around you a lot of people that, against all odds, do something right, it means that this is the resonance that you trigger inside of you, to keep you going. It's you know yourself. Through the eyes you see the world, you learn about yourself. And the connection of the actor or performer, especially when it's just voice, just and pure sound, it's something that you cannot reproduce, not in a recording, not in a filming, because this is something so, it's a soul memory. So even if we didn't speak, we heard this before as infants. Even before we were born, we were communicating in emotions and through auditory. So it's so built in us to learn through listening, to learn and to communicate with sound, either by singing or speaking, acting, reading, storytelling, whatever, preaching.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. And how do you maintain that art love of theater after 30 years?
because it keeps me alive when I'm acting. I feel like everything resonates into place when I'm on stage. It's outside of stage that I need a lot of help when I'm like, what am I doing? I had to speak today with institutions in Israel on the phone with press 5, press 7, press. This gives me so much stress. I need like a pack of Valiums in order to become normal afterwards. With the stage, no, I feel that I'm alive when I'm on stage.
So what have you used to, I guess, substitute for that or try to channel some of that energy? Because obviously we've been disconnected, but in some ways
Yeah,
technology has brought us back together, right? Because we've never would have met if it wasn't for technology.
that's true. That's true. I mean, I don't condemn. Don't misunderstand me. I don't condemn any kind of technology. On the contrary, I use technology. I love technology, but I'm not a slave to technology. I think that I remember that technology is a tool and not a means. I remember that it comes to help me. It's like an extension of myself to help me do things that I cannot do by myself, like a mouse or a bottle. I mean, I don't want to reposition myself with a bottle of water, but it does its purpose. So yeah, I through all this time, and it's not that I haven't. I've gone through a process from the beginning, because the beginning was in the middle of a tour. We were touring France and Europe, and we were supposed to be in Canada, and not Canada, in I forgot where I think Canada or Japan. No, of course Japan. I'm mixed up with everything. Um, and it just came from 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We got an SMS that we play in the evening, and at 20 to 3, something like this, they said at 3:30 you need to take all your belongings and go to the train station. And from there, you know, everything was in a second. And I was supposed to be 3 months on the road, and it was just the beginning. We had like 2 weeks, and we had just the beginning. And suddenly I was at home. Not only at home, our theater was closed, and suddenly I was in a flat in Paris that I rented in order to keep on playing in Paris until the end of the year. And there was a lockdown. Now it was a kind of a lockdown that you had a sort of a certificate. You had the certificate that you had to print daily and fill with the time you left home, because you were like confined for 1 hour a day, and I didn't have a printer. And the first one was an exercise in writing in French, which I don't speak, like very little. So I wrote this in French, my broken French, in order to be able to go to the supermarket. But then it started to work like, I'm not going out today, so I'm not writing this. So I used to buy for like 7 days and be like 7 days in confinement. And it drove me crazy. And I had a terrace. And because of London Real, I was ready to, put myself out there. And for like, because of traveling a few days, like two weeks, I wasn't online. And I said, okay, so I'm sitting on the terrace in Paris. And I said, it sounded like a podcast for me. I said, okay. So I started doing, hi, this is Raphael from the terrace in Paris. And I started I did like a few, one after the other. And I thought to myself, this is too good in order to leave it, because everything happened at the same time of confinement, and things happened. So it was like a vlog and an opinion thing, and what's going on with me. It's like a documentary / whatever. very Corona, you know, without speaking about Corona, because what I think about Corona is not the mainstream, and I'm not this kind of blogger, or vlogger, or whatever. And it caught attention in Israel and in Germany, and because of London Real in all sorts of countries, and I started to. And anyway, my good friends from London Real are like from United States, Canada, to South Africa, to Sweden, to Poland, Ireland, Holland. It's like Bulgaria, Greece. It's. I mean, people who know me, this is like, I've been looking for this all my life, for something like this. This is what I dream of when I dream of a perfect world, when I have an image of a perfect world, that I have friends, that I can say that I have friends in all countries of the world. And not only this, that it used to be like, it used to be Israel, it used to be that we live in a society that doesn't care about this anymore, that this is not the center of attention.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely found the same with the London Real family. In fact, they're the reason that you and I connected.
Yes.
But also it is an amazing feeling, even for an introvert, which I consider myself that. Although I guess Kia gave me a new word. Now I'm an ambivert, which is a mixture that I break out of my shell once in a while. And I know, because I know you did these blogs for a while, and then you felt that you've said enough, and you've leaned on some of your other sort of artistic pursuits, other sides of your artist personality to express yourself.
Yeah, since stages were closed, and I didn't ever. I saw most of my friends are like actors and musicians. So you see what they do, and I didn't want to do this too. So I didn't. I did. I joined a group of people that just um, do interactive things online. I tried a few times to be in online meetings of different organizations that I've been a part on Facebook, and this was not my thing. Um, and and then I started. I mean, because I always painted. I stayed at home, so I started drawing and painting. So I started to show this. I started to do, and everything that I started to do because of having a lot of time. Um, I started to put out, because I realized that at some time I realized, okay, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of France. I don't have, uh, the whatever was supposed to come is never going to come. So I need to roll with it and see what's going on. So before working in France, that was 3 years ago, I was in between Israel and Europe, and a friend of mine that has it, um, a factory um, invited me to live here, because he knew that I need space to either I make a lot of noise with my music, or just be able to be creative. And I live in a factory. So when I came back from Paris and it was open, I had to start to build my studio, my atelier, because I brought all my stuff to here, from Austria, from Berlin, from Israel. Everything came here, probably for the first time in my adult life, that all my belongings are under one roof. So all my musical instruments are here. I've got like 6 different guitars that I bought in every place that I was, because I didn't have a guitar with me. And my drums are here. I start to build my life here, and this was like I spoke to a very good friend of mine in New York. He's a hypnotherapist and a magician, and he told me that what he gets about me, he's a shaman, and what he gets about me is that in France I was a caterpillar, and the last 3 months were for me the cocoon, because I've been faced and forced to face a lot of shadows, and the last 3 months were shadow work. Every day it was shadow work. And people who had been through shadow work, especially at this time now, which is a huge awakening on earth of getting rid of whatever doesn't support the natural way of living, natural in any possible meaning of the word. Whatever is not in our nature leaves us. And everything that we face now, all the difficulties that we face now on earth as people, are things that are there in order to be released and let go, in order to make place for the new earth.
So do you think that we're all doing a little bit of shadow work then?
Of
Whole
course,
planet?
of
And
course,
what
as a
is,
society.
and maybe
As
for
a
someone who doesn't
society,
understand, Raphael,
any type of conspiracy theory that you can imagine is there in order to be acknowledged and released. And released by the way of accepting that there's much more to truth than we can imagine. That every day that passes is it's like being in a university. You have the possibility to grow in this time. Like, we chose to be here because of this. This is such a learning process for us, for all of us, for every person which is here on earth at this time. Because your soul doesn't do anything that you didn't agree upon. So we agreed to be here and to each to play his part. Without judgment, there's no evil and good. There's just love. The lack of or the thriving too. So the minute we see all these problems around us in order to be acknowledged in ourselves and in our society, in everywhere, the easier it is to work it out and to grow. We forget that this is a planet of growth through pain. Everything that grows through pain. I mean, we don't know how trees feel, but we definitely feel when we grow. When we grow, it's pain. First of all, the way we come into the world is delivered by pain, physical pain and strenuous, which is a hint to the type of life on this planet. And we grow, and all our growth pains and teeth and everything is delivered with pain. First of all, in order to acknowledge, and this is, I'm not deep preaching, I'm saying things that I understood from life. The more we look at it as a learning process, the less it's painful. Because pain is a concept. And I understand today that I am thankful not only for the things that I perceive as a 3D are good, beneficial for me, or I was famous or whatever. No, I'm measuring things by the lessons I've learned. It's like initiations. And one of the things that never dies, and this is where I come back to your first question, is I always gave space to the child in me. Because of my profession, I need to be not foolish, but childish. I have to understand. Sometimes I have to play a child. And how would a almost 54-year-old adult will do as a 3-year-old, not a caricature, but not to forget how I thought as this person. Because I was this person. If I wouldn't experience it, I would not have it. It's not imagination. This is connection. And this is how you act. It's like if every emotion that you have in your memories, because we work with memories mainly, and feelings and notions as actors and performers, it's like a huge board filled with buttons, touch buttons. And you as an actor, I work as an actor as I work as a musician when I'm composing, I don't write music, but when I make music, there is something that I see that there is the right side and left side. Yeah, we have right side and left side, right and left side, right and left side, right left side. There's something with the right side and left side. People say that this one is masculine and feminine, and there's. Since I don't know about this, I work with feelings. It's like I don't need to give it names in order to understand the difference between. And for actors that have it in a very balanced way, they can use technique and intuition both as a process of work. And intellect sometimes is, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's a hindrance.
Well, I like what you said about pain, that it's a concept. And so it's interesting. Do you think we've become too fragile or too sensitive?
No, I think that we are bombarded with triggers.
In what way?
Think of yourself 500 years ago. Unless noise was a part of your daily work, how much noise would you hear in a day?
Right. Not much.
Now, every type of noise, because our ears were triggered to listen and to be aware of things. If this is triggered consciously and subconsciously, let's say 500 times in a second, do you think that it's a miracle that people don't have ADHD?
So it's sensory overload.
Oh,
yeah. Makes sense. So how do we combat that?
Insomnia, depression. This is how we combat that, because it shows that this is the ways our body tells us you're living wrong.
Well, I guess then maybe combat is
pain
the wrong
is
word.
Again, we learn through pain.
Mm-hmm.
When we burn ourselves, this is our lesson. Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Right.
So it's emotionally, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us learn, and some of us start to get used to the pain, and some of us starts to be addicted to the pain.
Wow. So how do we heal that? Can we?
Well, it's a question of what healing might bring. The healing is something that you find in yourself. If you don't understand why you need to heal, your body would never heal. You will never heal. The minute it's like in psychotherapy, you have to understand that you have a problem. You have to come from your own way, to go out of your way to go to a therapist and say, I need help. Because without that, nobody will come and start to take, friends start to do this to themselves, but this is.
Right.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's dangerous.
So we have to introspect and take personal responsibility and take the first step.
Of course, yes. It's like in nourishment, it's like when you want to become a vegan, no one makes you to become a vegan unless you're a dog and your owner wants, wants you to be vegan,
Mhm.
which is not. I didn't think really about it. The idea just popped into my head. But no, we need to take the responsibility. We need to change our eating plan, our eating habits, to be aware of that first, to be aware that there is something that there's there, first of all, without judgment, there is something there. But then the decision, that's the first decision, yes or no. And I'm going to take it or not. And if I take it, what do I do about it? If I do something about it, when do I do something about it? If, all this. And am I consistent? Maybe consistency is one of the things that I run away from. And this is self-sabotage. This is why in the questionnaire to your podcast, there was something, what is your biggest achievement, or what are my biggest achievement is that I'm still doing my best to get out of my own way, because this is my biggest challenge.
Why do you think most people don't realize that? Because I think that's generally true, because I certainly find that for myself, that I am my worst enemy.
I prefer not to say enemy. I prefer to say it's an energy that I still don't know how to harness for my own beneficiary, benefit.
But why do you think most people don't acknowledge that it's an internal thing? They're always looking for external reasons.
It's an acknowledgement, I think, that you need to make for yourself. It's not something that I read, or something that if I read somewhere and it resonates in me, it means that again, we said it already resonates inside of me. So it just needs a reminder.
I see.
With me, I got so many reminders since I was a child, that I'm very close to it. That's why it's very difficult for me to do something that I don't want to do.
Yeah, and a little. Yeah.
Sorry?
No, I was just going to say a little earlier, unless you wanted to finish your thought on that.
I'm flying. I'm a
There's
kite,
many thoughts floating about. I was going to say a little earlier, you talked about sort of that where we have both a left and right and masculine and feminine, and you don't think in those terms. And I heard on another interview, you said that you didn't realize that you had to be in the closet. So
no one told me that there's a closet. Because when I grew up, I didn't have any gay people around me. Or at least I think I didn't. I don't remember any. And first of all, social-wise, I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. I mean, it's the same curse words like today, and even worse. So this was a curse word. So I didn't really know what it is, to tell you the truth. The only time I got aware of that is when I started growing up, like 11, and my father forbid me to see a program on television that had to do with homosexuality. And I didn't understand what it is. How could I? No one really explained to me. And when I saw this he forbid me to see that, but I did. And when I saw this, I said, but wait a minute, that's what I'm doing with people, with boys this is not homosexuality. This is what boys do. To come to a point where I thought that everybody's doing it. Because I had experiences as a boy, like let's say 12, 13, with other classmates and best friends, of course, and sisters of best friends, and and the list goes on and on. So, and these people were like what? Kids, like 1 year younger or older than me. We were in the same Boy Scouts or whatever. And it's only when I started to, I mean, I was like 14 the first time that I had an experience with a man, and that was as a student. But at the same time, I had experiences with girls as well, uh, older and younger. I was like what, 15? So I didn't really think that I'm different than many other people. No one spoke about this actually. And I think that I was about 16. And 16 was a big year for me because I went from being just a kid in a new school to the main part in the theater, and leaving school and becoming like a professional actor. It happens when I was 16. I met the man that I'm going to spend 33 years of my life with. He passed away. He was also 33 years older than me. So 33 again. Numbers in my life. I read today a book about numbers, numerology and stuff. Very, very interesting when you start to look back at different pages in your life and go, oh my God, this, you see, this is 33. This is 1 1. This is 1 1. You see, 11 must have. Oh. You go, the minute you understand a bit of what's going on, I look at it today and I say, wow, it's like it's meant to be. Because a lot of the things of cleaning up my closet, I need to make peace with things that I have pain with, and the connection of the pain is negative. You grow up with a certain family that makes you, be in a certain way, but because this is the way it was supposed to be, and then you leave the baggage of the family. You live in a country, you make the work, you don't identify as a wolf the country because this is not your path. It was a reason for you to experience this in order to learn to be, to make peace inside yourself, for instance.
And that's why now you consider yourself a multisexual, which is actually a term I didn't know until I listened to you.
I realized this actually just when I had a friend, a very good friend of mine in France, and he's a sexologist. And I told him my story. Like we experienced, we did a private podcast that nobody recorded. And he came with this. He said, "You're a multisexual, actually." I said, "What's the difference between a bisexual and multisexual?" He says, "Because you don't really look at the age of the people. You look at the connection, the soul connection." And this is, he says, this I've seen, I read about this, but I never seen this before. So this is how I found out that someone investigated this, and there is there is a name. It has a name.
There's a label, yeah. Although
which I don't. I'm like, I avoid labels.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was my challenge, because when I was in college, I considered myself bisexual, although I didn't talk about it, and I've only had experiences with women at that point. And then eventually it all boiled to the surface. And my actually last relationship with a woman, over like 12 years ago now, ended rather badly because I had all these unexplored feelings that finally came to the surface that I had to explore. And I lived the last 10 or 11 years as what I considered a gay man, but that was another label. But maybe in the last year or two, I realized that actually I really want kids. Like I feel that's a feeling that comes from deep inside, and I wanted those kids to be with a woman. There was something I was missing, that feminine support in my life, and I realized because I'm not drawn to one or the other, it's something that actually feels real to me, and that's what I wanted. And when I started talking about it, I actually posted in the bisexual community on Reddit, and I said, hey, is there anyone else out there like me who, who's had this experience? And the only response I got, and to be fair, I haven't tried very hard, but the only response was like, oh, you just want biological kids because it's easier. And I was like, no, I appreciate you, but
Again, people project from, they cannot see in your eyes, they can see in their eyes.
yeah. And that's what I realized. So I didn't take
Through
it
their eyes.
personally. Once I got through that initial negative, like, wait, I realized that it was about them. So I let it go, but I realized it actually, if anything, it's helped strengthen my truth that no, at 34, I've lived that other life. And yes, I understand if I really wanted to build a family with a man, I would do that. So it's not about, if in fact, there's nothing easy about it.
Exactly. Yeah. People, you think the easy
Having,
way out. The easy way out is in our times not to be gay and not to be different.
but also but the reverse is true as well. I heard you talk a little bit about, you explored sort of within the LGBTQ community, I think in Israel, you've done some informal research.
No, no, no. That was like informal research. You can't say that. Yeah, but
Informal.
no,
Yeah.
we will call it like I posted a very open question that I got from a friend of mine, and which I cannot answer. I could not answer it with a simple answer, and I realized I really never thought about it myself. So let me post this in this group that I'm part of in Facebook, and that for a while, because not all gay people in Israel know who I am. There was a time that my name, because of my partner and because of my, I did a television series about, and the main part was a gay young man, and that was like prime time, high ratings, and like that was never seen before in Israel. I look at it today, I don't see the big, because at the time I already lived like 12 years with a man, so I didn't understand what the big deal is. But for other people, that was like very surprising, and it without me really wanting to do something like this, I became like uh, out of the closet helper for a lot of people. They felt that, because there was acceptance in the families, it was like really mainstream, like threes a bunch kind of television series. Um, it ran for two seasons, and that was very, very. Only afterward, like 20 years later, I understood from people that it helped him as 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 12-year-old, you know, because in later generations, I realized, oh, actually, people really feel that with a very young age. So I forgot that with 7. Yeah, of course I had this, and and I heard from a lot of actors that I worked with. I came back to Israel to do every time I came back to Israel to do a production of something, and I encountered another age group. In the beginning, they were like my children, and then they were my grandchildren, and and a lot of them, even on Facebook, like, whoa, I saw you when I was like, it helped me come out to my parents, it helped my parents help, it helped them. And of course, not connected to that, I did in Austria the Rocky Horror Show. And I did drag with a beard, sort of a very stylish beard of Frank. It was 2000. So it was then, again, I had to say something. I couldn't just do with. I had to say something, and what I did say is it's about time to, I didn't shave my chest. I didn't try to be what I'm not. It's just me with both sides on.
And do you think that the gay community tries too hard? Because you said you reject labels, and that's what I found hard to find my place within it.
Yeah, because
They've created
I
so
forgot
many
about this. Yeah,
subsets.
They are like, it's like the electronic music today. You need a dictionary in order to all the genres and subgenres and subgenres. It's everything is complicated today. It's more open, and because of it's more and more open and more accepted, a lot of it is also with a lot of resistance. But we forget, if the minute we look at the resistance, we forget that the more that we grow, the more resistance there is. Again, pain. There is growth in that. This is an indicator that we grow. The more pain we see around means it's acknowledged and thought of and about to be released.
But do you think we've gone too far past acceptance to where now basically divide and rule is actually hurting us, because now we're panned against each other? It's pansexual and bisexual and transsexual and black gay conservative and this and that, just too many labels.
It's all a question of identity. I mean, the minute we'll understand that we don't need to give a name to our identity. Our identity is our name. It comes from wanting to be something special. The minute we forget all this bullshit and just concentrate on respecting and loving each other, we don't need labels anymore, because everyone his own label. Sorry, big labels, but yeah, we don't. When we understand that we're worth it, we don't need to wear somebody else's clothes. No. Here, you see, I'm proud of that.
The Weinstock collection. That's an awesome T-shirt.
Thank you. But I'm not trying to be better or worse than anybody else around me, because they don't interest me. They're not me. I want to look at what I do and be proud of what I do. This is why I'm, for instance, at the moment, this tour, this is one of the most amazing things that I have done in my life. This is something that I'm so proud of. I've never done anything which is even close to that in theater. It's a production of a play by Wajdi Mawad in the National Theatre in Paris, La Colline. He wrote a play which all the actors were a part of working for it. We had like half of a play to read, and the rest was written with us, with our own stories, with our own energy and pain, a lot of pain, because it's a play about a person that feels a lot of pain in his life and he cannot put his finger on it. Why? Why is there so much pain in my life? And I not only pain, because pain is like negativity, so it's lies, it's disguise, it's everything which is very the negative spectrum of feelings, depression, pressure. And he comes to the play is about the point where he realizes who he is and why there is so much pain in his life. And we were selected, I think, 3 times as Player of the Year, and it was like a boom. It's a wonderful teamwork of people from all over the world. I had the honor and the joy to act with someone that I never thought, as an Israeli, that I would act with. And this is a Syrian actor. And our connection is so strong. I hardly speak French, he hardly speaks English. And I speak a bit of Arabic. And he speaks a bit of English. But we became, first of all, when we walk in the street, people think we are brothers. The first time it happened, like often, but the first time it happened, we were in Paris, and a guy asked him in Arabic if we have brothers. And he started crying. He never saw this coming, 3 years before that. Neither did I. So I couldn't have even hoped to invent something like this in my future if it didn't resonate in me, and if this was not like a prayer of mine since ever. But it also showed me that I found peace in myself, in something. And this show made me do peace with myself, and it was a struggle. Because everything that stands in my way today was taken care of in this show. And this is how we were talking about, all these buttons exist in me, everything that which is in display. And I just need to push the, how do I show this to the public? Which buttons, which tools I need to have in order to show this to the public, and to make them believe in in the lie that I show them.
But do you think the show was a lie? Because it sounds like
No,
you were living your life.
Every show it's not a lie. It's a truth which is born out of a material and live performing.
But do you think this show was more so? Do you think it was the truest one because you were really playing yourself?
I was not playing myself. I was playing someone which is completely different than me. Not at all. It's not this person. I wouldn't take the same decisions. He's not. No. But I know what it is to feel pain. I know what it is to feel betrayed. I know what it is to feel an outsider. I know what it is to feel unwanted. I know, all these are the colors, and these are the emotions that I'm taking with me to this character. And I just have a lot.
Yeah. Do you think that was your spiritual awakening, or did you experience that earlier in life?
I don't know I don't think that the spiritual awakening exists. I think it's a process. It's not that one day I wake up and I say, okay, I know all Course in Miracles in my head now. No. It's a process. It's a growth. But this is why we call it to plant seeds. You speak to people, if you don't hide your truth. The minute I speak to people about this. If I sound to them too woody, so I say, okay, so, and if they ask logical questions, it means that, okay, there is something. But what it does, first of all, it makes me be myself, and it helps me do small talk, because the minute I take small talk to consciousness, and people are not aware. I said, okay, then I know where I stand. I don't need to waste any more energy. And you learn to live with this, especially if you've got a lot of treatment, not treatment, practice. The minute you live in a family that doesn't understand you, it's practice. The minute you are in a class that doesn't understand you, it's practice. The minute you're in a society that doesn't understand you, it's practice. Practice to be ourselves in spite of. And then the roles that I was always selected to do, which are people that, Jesus, someone that did not want to bend. He did what he thought was right. He didn't want to be a prophet or anything. He just, wanted people to know what he's got to say. This is what been told. Yeah? And there's a lot of material there of Dolores Cannon that she speaks about all this, but this is not for now. But yeah, and someone like Frank, that the only thing, he realizes that without his heart and without this, he will never be saved, like I did it, Again, it's always through our own filter. We're not here to imitate anybody. This is against creation. To imitate anybody, it's against creation. No tree imitates the other. They support each other's growth, and they expand all the time. And this is us. We expand all the time. I cannot be like I was 50 years ago, but I'm not supposed to. The minute I try to embrace something that I'm not, I'm already not in my flow. So if I'm hiding my white beard, I'm against my nature. And the minute we don't have this condition in our head that we think that young is beautiful, that, every age has got its own beauty and purpose. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. If we had no purpose, we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it brings us back to the label conversation we're having, because the labels really impose someone else's reality on us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like trying to put on someone else's skin.
Absolutely. Like wearing a logo.
Yeah. That's why you made your own logo.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. And do you think that's the key to relationship success, is to be yourself? Because I heard you say, and I quote, "I make room in my life for people who are not afraid to look me in the eye."
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. People that are afraid to look me in the eye, it can be for two reasons. First of all, because they understand that I can read, or that they're afraid that I can read. And these are two different reactions. People that are afraid of me become aggressive, and people that are too shy to become giggly. And the giggly, the giggly is normally people that know the meaning and the power of looking in the eye, but normally face people like the ones we ignore now. And when they understand that there is a possibility to speak to someone and look him in the eye and read and have a real communication of all a completely different spectrum of information. So they understand what I mean. And it's not only to give you the eye.
And do you think the ones that are afraid, it's because they see the dark side of themselves?
No, I think they had, again, it varies. I understood after a while, when you see these people over and over again, then it differs. Then it starts to be different. Um, some people lose it, and some people start to embrace it. And the more we're able to speak with one another into our eyes and look into our eyes, the the earthy the relationship gets, the more earthy. It becomes more stable, becomes more trustful. Because the minute you look each other in the eye, it's very against our nature to lie. And when we understand eventually that when look we look in each other's eyes in order to know who we are, the more we'll take care of one another.
Yeah. And is that how you're working on building your tribe?
Listen, I'm very bad in building my tribe, I must say. I'm not doing anything for it. I'm still in my cocoon phase. I just started building my room. I've been, I told you, in shadow work for 3 months. I I really had to go through a rebirth, a small rebirth, and I'm I'm thinking about doing a lot of things. Um, I'm to tell you the truth, I don't know where to start. Um, I know that it will start somewhere, and this is why I still don't have a product to give you. Like, yeah, please talk about it. No, I don't have a product. I have a lot of products, but um, nothing that I mean, privately, I'm selling paintings and stuff just to, to make ends meet in this time. And I started managing a company here just because I need, to live like anybody else. Um, it's difficult to tell you that every day is wine and roses. Not at all. I have ups and downs, and I mean, tonight I feel wonderful. Because if I wouldn't, I would say, like, no, it's not good. You could see it in your eyes. I mean, I could see it in my eyes, so it's visible. And you see immediately in my eyes when I'm not, in a good mood, and I'm not so talkative. It's then I'm in my. But I have these days, sure. I'm still working on it. I'm meditating every day. I'm because of my ADHD, I'm like reading 5 books a day, parallel. Not 5 books a day, but 5 books parallel, which I'm like, okay, one chapter here, one chapter here, which I'm bouncy, but I'm not moving. It's very difficult for me to move at the moment. I try to exercise. It's my body, like, it's like I'm really standing in my own way there. But it's also an exercise for me in judging. How do I judge myself? What do I think about myself when there's no public? There's no one to run away from. And two, I'm with my own, question marks and insecurities. So um, this is still going on. I'm just doing on top of that things. I can't stand still, really. So I'm fighting this with saying my thanks every day, my gratitude, always to be grateful for something. The minute I forget this, I become negative. The minute I start to concentrate on the things that I need to thank the universe for in my life, in my country, in my universe. The minute I'm out of that, then I should be depressed. But as long as I can keep on writing, I should be happy. This should be enough. And to be able to look into my own eyes in the mirror in the morning and not to look away when I say, I love you, 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 I love you. This is from a book that I read. Fantastic exercise. Louise Hay also, the mirror exercise, fantastic. The minute you cannot look into your own eyes for longer than 3 minutes and say, I love you, something is wrong with you.
Wow.
And whatever comes, this is exactly the pain that you need to face in order to release and love yourself unconditionally. I'm looking forward for the days that I will not need this exercise. The minute it would become a second nature to look at myself through these eyes. And this is my lesson now. I'm letting go of a lot of different eyes that I adopted with time. I looked through different lens, but I forgot mine. Because people told me the way I see is not good, you know. I told myself the way I see is not good. The way he sees is good because of my low self-esteem. Because if I would grow up in an environment that showed me self-esteem, I would say, no, this is mine. But in my behavior, this is what I did. So a dissonance is always where it hurts.
So do you think the pause that we're going through has actually helped you in a way because you don't have that audience to support you, which could be good and bad?
I can tell you definitely that without this period, I would not have been so aware of that. Like without the background noise. And the minute the noise is gone, you can start to hear what echoes in yourself from the noise. And this is your work and this is our work, you know. Nothing is done to me. Everything was done for me. And the faster I understand this and implement this, the less the friction and then no pain.
And Raphael, do you think in putting out, originally the blog and then sharing your art and, doing these talks, that you actually, by putting your true self out there, you actually are building your tribe without even realizing it, because you'll attract the people that resonate with you?
And this is what I do. I still didn't, I never thought of it like, I never really looked at it like this. And maybe this pause was exactly for me to look at it, a very good friend of mine in Ireland, he's a coach and he's a business advisor, someone that I respect very much, had a talk with me and explained to me that if I look at the friction in my life, this is where my lessons lie. And I should not run away from it, but towards it. And yeah, I have been challenged lately a lot, but mainly by myself. All the places in myself that hold me back, and one by one, I have to acknowledge them, first of all, before I let go. And I don't know how to let go. I guess that I will learn the minute I don't have it anymore. I see it. It's very it takes its time, its own time for me to let go of it. The beautiful thing is being a part of different groups of like-minded people, like on Facebook. I find, these stars that shine in the darkness of this very dark soup of social media. And again, it's dark because then you can see the bright, you know, lighthouses. And there are some lighthouses there, and I'm grateful for them. Even though some of them contradict themselves, I don't care. I listen to both sides. I entertain the same, I give each side the same attention, and it would grow in me. Maybe I'll change. I don't know. Maybe I will change my mind someday, and I'll say, okay, I used to like this type of music. Now I don't. I don't. A part of unconditional love to yourself is also to understand that everything is a process and stop making yourself miserable for growing.
Absolutely. Now, I can definitely relate to the social media component, because before I met the London Real community, I was trying to have these conversations in my own circle on Facebook. And the only thing I got out of it is frustration, because everyone was just taking their, going to their respective corners and digging in. I was like, I'm not interested in those conversations.
Yeah.
I want to bring you guys together so we can have a real conversation. And it just wasn't happening. And so when I discovered this Broadcast Yourself course, it just completely opened me up. And now I actually, and I guess because maybe in a way I attracted it, my social media circle, even on Facebook, is completely different now. I now see that light that you were talking about. And it's the same Facebook. Facebook hasn't changed.
Exactly. Exactly. But it all comes from you. If you see hatred, there is something in you that brings or attracts hatred for a certain reason. Not against you, in order to understand, okay, what in me projects this type of thing? And of course, why did I have to see it in my life? Why was it present in my life? Why did I have to see it? Other people react to it like they want, but me, which buttons did it push?
Yeah.
We have no other senses in this game. These are our senses. In this reality, it's like this. In other realities, I was a fish. Really, I did like a regression therapy. I was very curious, and I went to a time where I was like it's not Atlantis. It's like I was like a man fish. It was like not like Aquaman, but it looked like a fish, and you could see all my history on my skin. Not like a tattoo, more like a screen, but all my skin. But that was normal. My guide was there, and he had it too. And I was very open after I read a few books of Sonaya Roman and a few books of Dr. Michael Newton, Journey of the Souls and Destiny of the Souls and the Life Between Lives and Dolores Cannon. The more I read these things, the more I understand that what we think that our reality is more or less like when we are on a beach and we think that with one palm we hold all the sand in the world. And it makes me very happy to read it, first of all, because it resonates with me. I feel at home when I read about this material. And it makes sense. It makes a lot of dreams that I had sense. It gives a lot of answers, which at the time that I read these books, Brian L. Weiss, and the time that I read these books was a time where I had an accelerated awakening, yes. And again, I lived in a farm where I breeded Bernese mountain dogs, and I trained some of my dogs for search and rescue missions. And yeah, I live in like I worked on mainly on music and in painting. So I did and television. So that was a time that I really grew. I really grew, and I had to leave after 10 years because I had to um, the urge to do something with my arts, and I moved to Berlin, and there I realized how much I grew because the people that I attracted to me were very, very different, and people that are key friends in my life until today, and that was 15 years ago. So yeah, I'm very grateful for this life. It's a very, very fruitful life. As an individual and as a society, we achieve a lot in in the lifetime that I'm here. It's like we achieve a lot as a society. So I'm very happy about that. Mm.
Absolutely. And do you think, okay, maybe not 10 years, do you think we all need a little bit of that time to reset and reflect and to grow?
I think this is an inevitable part of our lives. I think the more we integrate this in our life, the less we do stuff that we are afraid to look into our own eyes.
Yeah, because
And
mm-hmm.
the more we are connected to who we are, the more it is clear for people who we truly are, the beauty and the power of our being. Not only the 3D being that we're here, but when people realize this, we come back to when everybody understands that he's special, she's special, that it's special. The faster we understand what our job here is as individuals, because each has got his own. We know what our job is. We're just interrupted by society, by structure, and of course to be reminded of it. We agree to forget and to come here and to remember our goal, but not in memory, but in through our body, our specific DNA, which is built for us.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Like, I guess another way to put it is really just find your true mission in life. I know some people use that phrase. Very good. So, Raphael, with that, I guess to tie it all together, then, what do you think consciousness is?
Whew, what I think consciousness is. It's what you work on your way back home.
And where's home?
With the one. We're all a part of this one energy, one force of creation. I mean, if you look, in Hebrew they call it כמו בעליונים גם בתחתונים, as in above, so below. As above, so below. If you look at our cells, our body, which is, we said, a representative of life here on this earth, we look at the structures that we have inside of us, in blood vessels, we can learn a lot about how energy works in the cosmos and how our souls work. So it means that we are, as souls, your body could not contain the whole soul. We come as a drop of soul, like in a shell, actually, in in a capsule, in a time capsule. And it's so diluted that you really have to hear the sound of it in order to connect to it. Because when there's a lot of noise, you don't hear it. And nothing around you tells you, go to your soul, search your soul, search your soul. If this was all over the place, search your soul, search your soul, search your soul, connect to your soul, connect to your soul, instead of buy, consume. When this, you're wonderful, instead of 66 days to 66 pounds. So the minute this way of thinking is reversed, we don't need to meditate anymore. No? To connect to yourself would be something that you do on a 24/7 basis. This is where we're going, I think. I feel. This is our growth through there. The way we are today, it's a phase. We grow.
And do you think the answer is to just improve our environment? Because I'm reading
ourselves, first of all, to take control of ourselves. Because it's always a decision. The question of to do for your environment depends what you do. I work with recycled materials. I'm an artist. This is what I do. I recycle whatever I can recycle. There are works of mine that I'm still waiting to collect enough material in order to make them, because it takes me years to consume this type of thing. But people think I'm crazy moving from Israel with junk, but this is what I do. So this is the way through my taking control over my type of life. This is what I do. Can I do more? I'm sure I can. I started composting. I started, whatever I can do in a city. There are people who do much more. There are people who go, a good friend of mine is going through supermarkets and going through all the thrown leftovers that are still, valid, and it's just people throw food. And they go and they give it to people in need. I think this is like, things like these are angels. You said about London Real. At the time of London Real, I thought of having a podcast, but I think it would be. I don't know. And my podcast name and my website name was Raphael Shapes and Colors, because it's because of a poem of mine. Maybe we'll have time. I'll read to you. And my slogan was, "Welcome to Raphael Shapes and Colors, where people of all shapes and colors can come and raise their vibration." So, and I realized through London Real, this is actually where I'm again, but I didn't know what it will bring, So, and this is where you need to go. This is where you need to go. So this is in the making. Still, here. And who knows? Maybe you'll give me exactly what I need in order to start.
Well, they do have a course to help you.
I through our course, I did exactly what I need to do. By the way. And in the terrace in Paris, again, the same. If I would just, be consistent and do it. But there is something in me that is still saying no. I need to understand what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you have.
It's not time to make a change.
Right. Exactly. Because you have a beautiful soul and amazing energy, so I think it needs to be shared with the world.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure talking to you. It's a wonderful energy.
Oh, thank you, Raphael. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So just a few more questions, and then maybe we can
Please.
actually close with a poem, because that I think would be wonderful. So I guess with everything going on, why are you optimistic about the future?
For the same reason that when I walk in the street and on a pavement and I see a flower coming out of the pavement, nature always finds a way. And if nature's way would have been destruction, we would not have been here.
That's beautiful. So I ask everyone this, and I know we touched about it a little bit in the sexuality component, but, and take this any way you want. I just ask everyone, what does masculinity mean to you?
Everything that I would tell you, it's, I think about femininity as well. So it's, you know, it's a thing. It's not a masculine. I don't think in cliches, you know.
So it's another label for you.
Yeah, yeah. What is masculinity? What, big muscles in it? Like, I know girls with big muscles. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah, fair enough. I like to ask because there's this, and part of it comes from, again, trying to divide us. There's this idea of toxic masculinity and attacking everything that's male from some circles in society. And so it's just something I've been struggling with and trying to understand.
What is it again? What is it again?
That basically there's this idea of toxic masculinity.
Which
and just
is?
I don't know. I guess it's, in essence, the way I understand it,
Yeah.
is that being male has a negative connotation.
Well, it's pendulum swings. You know, it will reach a point where it doesn't matter anymore. It's we have to think of until now what we have achieved from the beginning of the century and until now. And you know, looking back, it's much better to be gay today than 40 years ago, or transsexual, or lesbian, or bisexual, or any kind of out of the normal sexual. And I'm not talking about pedophiles. And tell you that I'm not proud of that, yeah, I am. To tell you that a lot of straight people don't understand what the fuss is about, I'll tell you that too. And I don't like to think in ways of battle, because this is not the way I see it. I don't see it as a battle. I am here to enlighten people. You know, there are people that before they saw me on stage never seen a Jewish person before. I'm not a practicing Jew, but this is because I was born in Israel under this religion. This is the label that I have. So before people saw me the first time, they've never seen someone Jewish before. And to leave the first impression of such a multi-layered name and origin shows on the character of the person they saw. And the same I had with a lot of first time that I met people. The first impression is much more profound, especially if you look in the eyes. It's much more profound than any type of email exchange or whatever. or even Skype calls.
Right. Yeah, we gotta go back to that. Hopefully soon.
Yes.
Hopefully
Yes,
soon.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm, even though I like to be by myself, I don't like to be told to do what to do. I think this annoys me the most. And the fact that I see the manipulation and I see the brainwashing and I see the hysteria and I see the fear spreading and I see the misunderstanding of what really is going on. And to tell you the truth, I keep most of myself to myself because I'm not here to educate anybody. I take control of my own education and I expect other people to do the same. Because this is a mutual work. It's not some of us. And it's also not a competition, yeah, because everyone has got his own time, or her, or it.
Yeah. No, that's
And
very
we're
well
not the
put.
same. We're not the only creatures that evolve here. Everything else evolves. We're just a part of it, like just a part of it. Whatever there is around us in all different dimensions and parallel realities, and the minute you read Dolores Cannon, you understand we just don't see everything. That would turn us crazy. But when you hear the people that have done ayahuasca, have done peyote, have done San Pedro, have done shamanic rituals, the minute you hear these people and where they visited, when I do my own meditations, where this leads me to, and nothing that I will say or write or describe in it will even come close. But these are memories that you have to build for yourself as a human being. If all your memories are just mundane thing, then this is where your understanding and your imagination will go. The minute your imagination is triggered and you have to fly in order to survive, like we normally have as kids, as a survival mechanism. As an adult, I can tell you that there are very few adults that really give their imagination the freedom it needs. And the imagination is confined to the 3D, to what I want to
Interesting.
get, what I want to buy, where I want to do with my next. And just it comes from not knowing that there is so much more to choose from than just going to vacations. And there's a much more to choose from that would give a sort of a fulfillment to this hole you're trying to fill in a different way that would stay longer. And the memories would be much, much better.
Well, constantly fueling that fear in us doesn't help because we're
Exactly.
wired to turn off all the creativity when we're afraid.
Exactly.
Which
And
without getting into conspiracy theories, but that might be the
no.
point.
Even before Corona, I stopped watching television. I think 10 years. The minute I got into Berlin and I didn't have a television, and I realized, okay, I don't need one. I really don't need one. And I stopped watching television. That's why I painted more. And I didn't have a smartphone then, so yeah. But the minute I had a smartphone, I started working on my smartphone because this is where, I'm traveling. This is where I work. And I always travel with a big suitcase with either paintings that I did in my hotel or whatever. I even in long lectures, I take something, it's easier for me to focus my hearing on one thing when I'm drawing. Much better than if I would just need to stare, and then I would get many more triggers than I can handle and listen without any interruptions.
Yeah.
And I find I had to find this because I was always challenged. You know, to read aloud with a lot of people talking around me, and I cannot even hear myself think. Things like this. As an actor, you've been challenged a lot with these things, and it helped me in my own life, you know, to deal with my multi-censoring of the reality. I mean, they didn't have labels for that when I was a child. I read of that at the age of 40, you know. Only then I realized, oh shit, it's not just me. Yeah.
So, Raphael, with so much information now available out there, what advice would you give to maybe that 30-year-old or 30-something-year-old who feels stuck and maybe they're a little bit awkward and not quite sure of how to live their best life? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, start to be thankful. Not to look at everything that we don't have, that we wish we would have had, and then just concentrate on everything we take for granted first. And when the list is finished, then we can start to thank for each and every one of these things that we take for granted. And the minute we finish this, and this is a very long list, I don't think that will be any bitterness left or any disillusion or anything. It would be just, what do we want to do with all this for the future?
Yeah. Wow. Well, there leaves no excuses.
This is how I work on myself every day. I've got my affirmations. I read them. You know, it's 15 minutes long. Self-hypnosis affirmation session that and instead of recording it, I just decided, I heard about sound therapy, and of course my friend Alessandros told me the same. So the minute you say it with your own voice, if you say your affirmations with your own voice, the vibration that comes out of your own vocal cords go into every cell in your body and outside to your aura and beams out of you, because this is your frequency, not a recording. You can say it by heart, yeah, but to be able to see it, see the words, the energy of the words, you read it to yourself every day as if it's the first time. You don't just say the words because you've said it already for 2,000 times. No, you mean it every day. So it takes the 15 minutes. But it's something that before I go to sleep, it helps me to sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, it helps me accept the moment. When I don't do this, I wake up grumpy. And yeah.
I think that's true for most successful people. That's what I keep hearing over and over again, that affirmations are a key part of their day.
And the thing is, you don't need someone to tell you what is good for you. This is why you need to write your own affirmations. It's wonderful to listen to affirmations that someone else wrote, yes. The best affirmations and the most transformative to you in your own voice are things that you will write for yourself. which are right for you.
Right. Absolutely.
This is the slogan of the next podcast.
Yes.
Write yourself what is right for you.
For you. There you go. You see, we're creating something new already. That's the beauty of these connections.
Of people that share their own affirmations, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, make that happen.
Let's work on that. Could be that this is something that we'll do together. I'm open for that.
Yeah, that could be
because I thought to myself, I share it anyway with my friends, you know?
Yeah.
And a friend of mine told me, you know, I'm not going to take your word for it. I said, this is not the idea. The idea is you can take a formulation and change it to your own needs. Understanding that there is no negatives, understanding there's the, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's to inspire you to write the things that are right for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you said. That could
and
be
of
really
course,
good.
To listen to a community of people reading affirmations to one another is something an energy that I would love to exchange online. Yes.
All right, we'll have to make that happen. We'll have to figure that out.
Let's do it.
That'd be awesome. That's great. So that'll be for the future. So speaking of the future, Raphael, who do you think Raphael Weinstock will be in 5 years?
That's a very good question, because the answer I still don't have. The minute I will, I'm probably the first podcast would come out. The minute I know where I am in 5 years, then I can start a business. Until then, when I still don't have a vision, there's no reason to start.
Yeah.
I have a lot of parts of a puzzle. Mm-hmm. And I am on my way to put this puzzle together in a way that would surprise me as well. And it's probably my biggest challenge, because this is where my life leads to until now. This is where my life leads to. It puts me in a corner of, who do I see myself? Mm-hmm. And this is where I'm most challenged with, because I'm an actor. I'm taking different, you know, as an artist, I'm reacting to my reality. But this is not something constant. It's a bouncing ball. And everything else I do is a bouncing ball. So this, I think that in order to embrace this bouncing ball, I have to understand its pattern, to understand what it needs in order to become what it is. Because now a big part of it is I'm standing in my own way. And I need to press some buttons that it's in harmony. And this is what I'm working on now. And so I would like to have this vision, yes.
Well, hopefully conversations like these are a small part of helping you put the puzzle together.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it shows me how little I need to invest in order to do something like this. And no preparation at all.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know what we're going to talk about. And it's not important, actually.
No,
because whatever needed to come came, you know.
Yeah, because as long as you form genuine connections.
Okay. Shit.
You okay?
Yeah. Something's jumped on my screen. So I needed to take it away with my Skype. You were saying yes. Sorry.
I guess because with these, you know, we were talking about that these, you know, these kind of connections, as long as they're genuine, it doesn't, because you said you didn't really know where this conversation was going to go, and it's fairly easy to do. You can just go with the flow.
Exactly.
And as long as the connection is genuine, I think the thing we're going to create is going to inspire a lot of people. I mean, this is why I started the thing in the first place.
I agree with every syllable.
So I guess, Raphael, because we've been going for a while, and
I have no idea. I don't know how.
Hopefully it's been meaningful. But, and I usually ask the guests, you know, if they have any final words. But as I mentioned earlier, I thought it would be beautiful if you shared a poem or two with us.
A poem. Shapes and colors. Okay. Maybe I'm too tired. I like to play with shapes and colors to tell a story, like in acting. There's no ticket because there's no speed limit when you think, when you create new ways for yourself to tell stories. To be able to tell someone else's story through your own emotions and technique, intuition, and personality is a great thing. You have to move thoughts and behaviors of people and make them cry or angry, make them pity or overwhelmed, make them believe that you die in agony or that you are the devil's maker. Hold them in the palm of your hand. Fly them to the moon through Mars and back and lay them gently in their seats at the end of the game. You are the roller coaster of their dream jet and their safety belt. So I'll continue painting now.
Wow, that's beautiful. And with that, Raphael Weinstock, thank you so much for being on the Awkward Mind podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All the best, and I hope that all the puzzle pieces come together soon so we can join you on your journey to inspire people with shapes and colors.
With gladness and love in my heart.
And that's all for today. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast anywhere you might be listening. And if you really liked us, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so that we can continue to inspire people through meaningful conversations with real people like Raphael. Goodbye for now.
Bye. Thank you.